Assalamu alaikum. So if you're a Western Muslim that's considering getting married in Indonesia, you've probably been wondering how much money do you have to save up. So that's what we'll talk about, inshallah. So alhamdulillah, I got married here myself and I also made hijrah here and I now help other brothers to do the same thing. So I've been able to see the actual reality. How does it actually look? Not all this chat GPT asking it how much does it cost and stuff like this. Not scrolling through Reddit and stuff like this. The actual reality of a Westerner that's done the same thing. So yeah, this video I'm going to share how much should you realistically save before committing to the process so you can prepare correctly, inshallah. So yeah, I would recommend saving 10K, so $10,000. Now, some people have the perception that, okay, you're going to get married in Indonesia, it's this poor country, you're just going to spend nothing, but you're probably going to spend less if you got married in the West. If you got married in the West and actually kept it simple, you would probably spend less because you could just do you would do this. You would basically just pay the mahar. You can probably do a very simple nikah and walima, but you're probably going to spend more because you're going to be flying over. You're going to be doing it in a new place, and there's going to be certain things which we're going to talk about. So for some brothers, they may be like, "Whoa, I thought it was going to be more like $2,000 or $1,000," but it's way more. It is way more. So yeah, and for some brothers, you're probably thinking, "Okay, fair enough. I expected it." But yeah, I wouldn't aim to spend $10,000. This isn't me saying I think you're going to spend $10,000, but it allows you to come into it more comfortable. You're not going to be as pressured. You're not going to be trying to save pennies everywhere, and it should make it a lot more comfortable for you. So yeah, I personally spent 7.4K for the entire marriage process. That's excluding rent when I was here. That's excluding food when I was here, etc. And yeah, we'll talk about in a minute, like what was my mindset in terms of spending. Was I just throwing money around everywhere or was I being really stingy? That's what I'll talk about. So this covers everything like documents, the mahar, the walima, and all the other associated costs, which we'll talk about in a minute. I even included literally like the taxis that I took to all the different places, etc. So yeah, why do I say $10,000? So we should neither be stingy nor extravagant. As Muslims, we should neither be either of those two. So that's what I was trying to go for. I was trying to go for in the middle between not being stingy and not being extravagant. So yeah, flights over. Firstly, it can be anything. Depends where you're flying from. Depends how you fly. But if you're coming from Australia, it's going to be less. If you're coming from like the US, the UK, whatever, it's going to be like more like $1,000. So yeah, that can vary. And then obviously there might be some other associated costs. Maybe you have a layover. Maybe you do something you're eating on the way, and it's important or it's beneficial to actually count these things into it because you're probably going to spend like $20-$30 on food in the airport. This. You're going to be then spending money on the taxis to the airport. Like it's worth coming into it prepared, not setting like a lot of people. They set a really really small budget for things like this, and then they end up spending way over. Hence why I'm saying 10K, which is going above budget, because I personally much prefer to set budgets above what I'm actually looking to spend. Hence why it's what I'm recommending. So yeah, there is a lot of hidden costs in a process like getting married abroad. There's a lot of hidden costs simply with flying abroad. Then there's hidden costs with all this different stuff. So it's worth factoring it in. So inshallah, this will make it a bit more clear to you. So the walima costs, it can vary so much. It really can vary so much. Like if you end up marrying to a family where it's small, which I've never seen it once in Indonesia. I've never seen a small Indonesian family. They're always huge. But if you end up doing so and you end up doing a walima where it's just within your family's, the wife's family's home, and you end up spending like $100, you just feed them and it's easy, then alhamdulillah. But I've just never seen it. I've never seen a small Indonesian family or a small thing like that. To be honest, it's not very common. But it is possible. It is actually possible that you can spend literally like between $100 and $300 for the walima, but generally that's not how it's going to be. But yeah, Indonesian families, they're absolutely massive. Like they're literally like, there's a lot of walimas where it's between 500, 1,000, over 1,000 people at the walima, and that's actually like supposedly just the close family, just the family, which is crazy. And then I would say, from what I've seen, what's the average? Probably about 300 people, 500 people is the average walima. So yeah, that's something to really consider because the bulk of the cost, if you're going to be doing it, like I'm assuming you're a brother where you're not trying to have this extravagant decorations of gold and all this big fancy hotel and stuff, but the costs for you in that situation is going to like largely come from the food, from the people that you're feeding, which alhamdulillah you can feed a lot of people for a for an affordable price here. Now, Walima planners, the packages often, if you go to a Walima planner, it's often going to cost like $10,000. Like I came into this thinking, okay, we're in Indonesia. This place is, they're not, the average salary is $170 a month. I'm not expecting to be pitched things like this. I understand they see a foreigner coming in large, like likelihood is they're going to pitch the highest offer. But when I looked through all the other packages as well, I'm seeing $10,000, $10,000, $20,000. I'm even seeing. I'm like, how are Indonesians? That's enough to buy a house in Indonesia. But it's the reality. It's the reality that a lot of the Walima planners packages are going to be more like $10,000. They're going to plan it for you, and it's going to be haram as well. You're going to pay $10,000 to displease Allah, and for it to have loads of music, to have free mixing, to have loads of extra makeup included and all this. Like they'll bring you up onto a stage, you and your wife, to be looked at by, like your wife being looked at by men and stuff like this. So yeah, I was having none of that. I didn't want any of that. So I ended up spending $2,200 for 200 people, alhamdulillah. So how did I spend far less than it would have been? Because I was the Walima planner. Rather than paying someone else to plan the Walima for me, I was the Walima planner, because I contacted so many. I contacted over 30 Walima planners, caterers, etc. And none of them was on board, and none of them really understood what I was wanting in terms of I wanted to actually be halal. Like when I said halal initially, all they really knew of that was, okay, halal food, no alcohol. Obviously, may Allah guide us all to the best knowledge, but you can't be having music, free mixing. And even if you say no music, no free mixing, they'll still have loads of different cultural elements to the wedding where it's got those things. Like if you say that, okay, fair enough, maybe they're going to have a segregation. But then you've got to question, okay, is it an actual segregation where you can't see through it? And it's basically always, they're going to, okay, maybe they do a little segregation where it's like it goes up half a meter or something, where they can still see each other. And then there's also a stage at the front where both come. And then anyway, with the Walima planning, it was not an easy thing at all. So I spent tens of hours, probably even hundreds of hours. Honestly, I spent so many hours planning it myself, just not even with the intention of trying to save money. It was genuinely just because I wanted it to be halal, and it's not an easy task. It really is not an easy task. Yeah, I removed all the extra stuff that they always push for. They'll push for like a big stage with like a chair on it, and then the husband and wife sit there, and then there's men taking photos of the women in makeup. Like, this makes no sense. This is not permissible whatsoever. I was thinking, I don't want any of this stuff. So yeah, I removed all the extra stuff that they push for. Any like really extravagant decorations. Alhamdulillah, we did it in a masjid. There was a masjid with a walima hall, which was very good. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, you can spend loads. If you're doing a fancy venue, you can end up spending loads. And if you're doing really extravagant decorations, which that is almost 100% of the weddings that I've seen here. Like I've never seen a simple wedding here. If you look on any of the pictures, I suppose they're not going to show the pictures of the simple ones, but it's just not common in Indonesia. Most of the weddings, they're very, very extravagant, and they're literally costing like $10,000, which a lot of while as to how the Indonesians are affording that. But yeah, my intention was just not to be stingy. It was to keep it halal. And alhamdulillah, you get the side benefits of it also being way cheaper as well. So yeah, 2.2K for 200 people. So I spent so much time on it. And I was already in Indonesia, so I was actually able to go and visit the venues, to go and speak with them, etc. Which just most brothers aren't going to be able to do that. Like the likelihood, if you're working a job in America right now, you're really busy and you're looking to fly over for a month, okay. But the likelihood that you're going to be able to do that isn't very high. Now, maybe you marry into a family where they're able to organize all this for you, in which case, alhamdulillah, also they can possibly get it to a price like this. But just generally, talking generally in Indonesia, it's not going to be like that. They're not going to really know. Most Indonesians don't really know how to fully enforce something to be permissible, because the culture here is generally very anti-confrontation. Like they would like generally, this is obviously generally speaking, but most Indonesians are very, very against any confrontation. So if confrontation means saying no, I don't want the music, or like fully enforcing that there's no music, because if you're just passive with this and you're like, no, I don't want any music, I don't want any free mixing, they're not going to fully enforce it. And yeah, a lot of Indonesians, they may not be able to enforce it in that way. But if you're able to marry into a family where they're able to fully arrange this for you, and you know, okay, it's absolutely going to be permissible, then alhamdulillah. But generally speaking, you're probably going to want to have this done, or you want someone that you trust to actually do it. So the maha is generally going to be between 2K and 4K. So that is just a rough estimate. Of course, some sisters, it's within their rights to request anything, and it's also within their right, and it's logical that if a sister's marrying a foreign brother, it is more logical that they're going to request more money. Now, of course, the simple matter is the best one. So inshallah, you are going to get a simple request, but I wouldn't automatically, like some people may say, oh, that's such a red flag if a sister asks you as a foreigner for $5,000, for example. But it's logical. It's logical, and it's within their right. It's within your right to reject it as well. If within your principles it's that they should be requesting a very small maha, it's within your right as well. So yeah, generally 2 to 4K. Other costs you should cover. So yeah, cover like your wife's outfit. Don't really be asking them to cover this stuff because Indonesians, they're not wealthy in comparison to any Westerners, or the average Westerner, because Indonesians, the average salary is $170. So you should really be covering all of it. And you're the man, cover your outfit, document costs, prenup as well. I would highly recommend getting that, which it should cost around about $175. If you get it the right way. Visas, you'll have some costs with that. Gifts as well, like give some gifts to your future wife's family, etc. And then you're going to want to pay for your accommodation when you're here, which is probably going to be for a month, so you can get a monthly accommodation, food, etc. when you're here. So yeah, around about 10K. Now it shouldn't actually cost 10K. Let's say about 7K. And like I mentioned, it can be done for far less, and it can also be done for far more. But this should make it pretty comfortable for you, inshallah. So yeah, once you're married. So naturally, once you're married, you're going to spend more than usual. Like the initial stage where you're married, you're probably going to spend more than average. So it is good to just have a bit of a buffer. And then it depends. It depends how much you're going to spend next. What depending on, are you going to stay in Indonesia? Like, are you going to literally make hijrah here as well, like I did, or are you going to go back home, where you've probably already got a home or you're already renting a home, blah blah blah. If you're going to be staying in Indonesia, you're probably going to need more savings, just because you're going to pay rental yearly. It's not going to be monthly. I've never seen it be monthly. And you're going to pay for your visa, etc., which, alhamdulillah, it's not really that much. It's like $300 for 2 years, which is good. But yeah, inshallah, this video does give you a more realistic expectation. It probably filters some people out who just simply don't have anywhere near enough, and it probably gives some brothers a way better expectation, so you can come into it more prepared. So yeah, if you would like help finding a sister in Indonesia, you've not found a sister yet, you can go to the link in the description, and inshallah I can help you. So it's not a cheap service at all. It will talk about the price on there. It will talk about what do I do on the form. It'll be a video explaining, okay, what do I actually do? How can I help you? And then you can see, do I think this is going to be beneficial to me? And then just let me know about your situation. There'll be a list of questions. Let me know about your situation, and leave your WhatsApp at the bottom. And inshallah, I'll reach out to you if I think I can help you find a sister in Indonesia. So yeah, if you want to do that, I will see you there. Assalamu alaikum.